So the movie Warfare came out this weekend. I thought it was coming out later this month, but it came out this weekend, so I had to rush and go see it, and it was actually pretty good. It was intense, horrifying, gripping, but of course it's not that simple. It's an A24 film, co-directed and written by Alex Garland, who, after seeing just one of his movies, I really can't stand him. That movie would be Civil War for anyone wondering. The movie is based on a true story of a SEAL team that was ambushed in Iraq during fall of 2006. Ray Mendoza, who's the other co-writer and director of the movie, is one of the SEALs portrayed in this movie, and he's basically just retelling his story here. The movie stars Will Poulter and Cosmo Jarvis, who are both actors that I love, but the problem with this is that they aren't American. I think they did a great job in this movie, but for all the talk about cultural appropriation, it seems like modern media likes to cast a lot of English or just non-American actors to play people who are American. From this point forward, I will be talking spoilers, so if you want my final verdict spoiler-free, skip to this time in the video. I have two main problems with this movie. One, it's not that I hate the movie, it's just that I hate the context surrounding its existence, mainly that it's made by A24 and Alex Garland. Obviously, A24 and Alex Garland made Civil War, which was just a disgusting piece of political propaganda that was released right before an election cycle to quite literally manipulate the emotions of American voters. It was basically just a left-wing fantasy story that had no foundation or basis in American history, and then Alex Garland decided, I actually do care about American history, and I want to tell this heroic story about these brave American soldiers, even though it's just yet another A24 production that focuses more on a visually stunning film than an actually good story. Which brings me to my second issue with this movie, which is that there's really no story. It's just a cinematic recreation of these horrid events that happened during the Iraq War. There's no character building or world development or anything like that. The title of the movie really speaks for itself. It's just 90 minutes of warfare. Which, by the way, I hate when these movies have like super generic titles that only serve the purpose of catching your eye. Civil War was a perfect example of this. That movie's hardly even about Civil War. And with this movie, it's like, oh my god, warfare. How intrigued I must tell you that I am by the title of this movie. I feel like a movie with the title Warfare is really going to understand the seriousness of the story it's trying to tell. You get the point. I just feel like they could have come up with a more creative title than Warfare that's more unique to the story. It's like titling The Wolf of Wall Street Money or titling Brokeback Mountain Gay. It's just way too broad. The movie opens with a really unnecessary scene of these Navy SEALs dancing around because they got their hands on this video of these women in a risque workout video gyrating their asses around with music playing louder than any other scene in the movie. I know, shocking. In a war movie, the loudest scene is the music scene. And they're trying to show like the camaraderie between these SEALs, but it really doesn't matter because, as I'm about to talk about here in a minute, they don't really develop the characters any further anyways, so it's like this dancing scene really did nothing. The next scene is almost equally as pointless as the first. They go on a night patrol on Ramadi Block, and they're trying to show how all these SEAL teams get separated and how the team that the movie focuses on ends up in Building 4, but it's like, I really feel like we didn't need to see all that to understand how they got where they did. I'm starting to think that the writers just didn't trust the audience to understand what's going on at the beginning of this movie, but I mean, who am I kidding? It's not like A24 and Alex Garland ever take the audience's feelings into consideration. So the next 30 minutes of this movie are just completely wasted away. They're spent in this building where these SEALs are conducting surveillance, but I mean, I don't really know how else to say it. All they're doing is just sitting around in silence for the entire first act of the movie. Ray Mendoza, the co-writer, probably insisted that this movie be frame for frame of what actually happened in real life and in real time too. So not only do you have Alex Garland, who prioritizes the production over the actual story, but you also have Ray Mendoza, who prioritizes the accuracy of the events over traditional storytelling in, dare I say, kind of a selfish way. And I have to be careful when talking about this because I know some moron is going to be like, how dare you criticize this brave veteran for telling his story? And it's like, I'm not saying he shouldn't tell his story the way he wants to. I have nothing but respect for these sailors and what they endured, but I'm also trying to keep it real and say that you can't expect audiences to sympathize with your characters if you don't develop them at all. The only background that we get on these characters is that they care for each other very much, and the only development we get of these characters is by picking up on their behavior throughout the movie. Instead of developing these characters by having them celebrate when they see a bunch of chicks shaking ass, maybe something more tame like them having dinner and sharing stories with each other would be a better way to open the movie. They're Navy SEALs. I'm sure they were very close with each other before the events of this movie. Anyways, it's not until 22 minutes into the movie that the SEALs start showing concern of any kind. It's not until 30 minutes into the movie that we actually get started with the plot and they get ambushed by the enemy, but even still, it's not clear what the conflict of the movie is until literally halfway through the movie when the goal of the story becomes more clear. They're just trying to escape Ramadi Block. An IED goes off, killing 2 interpreters and severely wounding 2 of the Navy SEALs. There's, I believe, 7 of them total, and they're all fucked up in some sort of way from this IED, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally. And the tone of the scenes sort of changes depending on whose perspective we're experiencing these events from. For the rest of the movie, they're just trying to keep these 2 casualties alive and figure out a way to get rescued in the middle of this ambush of Iraqi soldiers. Eventually, another group of SEALs show up as reinforcements, and then they do eventually escape. The 2 casualties miraculously survived. I couldn't believe this shit when I saw it, because one dude got his legs shredded, and they both lost a shit ton of blood. The movie ends with side-by-side pictures of the actual soldiers next to the actors portraying them, which I think was totally fine. That's typical for these kinds of movies. But they also throw in a bunch of behind-the-scenes clips of them filming and like the actors interacting with the actual soldiers and like having fun and that sort of thing. This was just a little odd to me because it's almost undermining to the tone of the movie by concluding this intense and horrifying series of events by reminding audiences, by making this movie, we were doing something noble. It's not only somewhat disrespectful to the tone set by their own movie, but it's even a little immersion breaking. My frustrations aside, this movie was really good. It was a thorough peek into the lives of our service members who fight on the front lines during war without conforming to Hollywood stereotypes about war. I'll be the first to say that this might just be the best cinematic portrayal of the shit, or war for those who don't have veteran parents. It's far from the best war movie I've ever seen, but it's probably the most realistic, yet also immersive, yet also controlled portrayal of intense battle. The production design was outstanding. They actually reconstructed the entire Ramadi block for this movie, and it looked really good. I'm a little bit iffy on the cinematography because the cinematography in these A24 movies feel very regressive sometimes. Some of the shots feel like they were literally shot on iPhone. They seem very basic. I think part of it is that it's catered more for IMAX screenings, which are meant to be more realistic and immersive over stylish, and I think it's also that I'm so used to Hollywood studios that feel the need to make their cinematography top-notch or their movie is gonna suck or something. I think A24 understands this and they try not to overdo it. The sound design was also amazing, aside from obviously the opening scene, but the gunfire and explosions are all very loud, realistic, and immersive, but they don't try to hurt the audience's ears in any way. Luckily, there's no politics. I know, fucking shocker, an A24 movie with no politics at all. That's gotta be rare, right? For my final verdict, I'll be ruling in favor of the movie Warfare at 72%, making it my second highest rated movie of all time on this channel, which just proves my point that I made in my Last Breath review, which is my highest rated movie and is also based on a true story. These days, it feels like actual real-world events are way more interesting than fiction. On the other hand, I think this movie represents a big problem that we have in Hollywood and storytelling in general, which is that some people just want to be entertained more than they want to hear a good story. They'd rather go to a circus than go to a ballet. If you're okay with going to see a movie that focuses more on the production and aesthetics over the actual story, then I would highly recommend you go see the movie Warfare. As much as I hate A24 and Alex Garland, I think this is an experience that you can only enjoy in theaters. Anyways, that's all for today. If you enjoyed my review, please consider dropping a like and hitting subscribe, but that's all for this case. This court is adjourned.